Someone's alarm screams unanswered. Faceless people rise from the dark asphyxia of unfamiliar beds, blinded by the harsh glare of the sudden toilet bulb. A gecko stares through lidless eyes, a witness to private rituals, the fleshy shames confronted behind the security of a latch. The flabby breasts, the rashes, the scabs that would not heal, the retching, blood, thighs, sighs, incontinence. In horror of their nakedness, they cleanse away yesterday's sweaty guilt. Outside, birds rise from their stupor, showering the rust-leaking blocks with songs of shit. Dirty water gurgles through the drains. A sweeper rakes the ground, her kerosene tin dustpan banging in devotion to the ache of rousing. The prayerful sky soon to sicken and yellow. Images like these, cheap bras on bamboo poles, urine on the stairs, newspapers curled around glassy-eyed fish, a girl with cigarette burns on her face, force me to retreat a step from a narrowing world.
When the neighborhood wives, after a morning at the wet market, sit facing the breeze to trade snatches of gossip.
About leery shopkeepers, the local louds, like that fella who's always drilling his walls, gives me migraine.
And that mad woman always throws things from her window.
Aiyo.
With careful put-downs, they fashion boasts about stubborn sons, lazy daughters, who by some miracle or mistake always score well in class. When words falter, gestures take over. Pursed lips, rolling eyes, animated hands adorned by bangles of gold, jade, steel, string.
Go. Let's go now. Let's go.
And children orbit around them, laugh without diction. Their games of tag a reassurance that there has been no hothousing of who is unclean, unwashed, untouchable. When they break out into some kindergarten song, one almost believes in a generation cleansed of skin-deep suspicions and freed from the superstitions of the tongue. And old folks sit like sages, deploying chess pieces with ancient strategies. From a corner, a caged bird bursts with the song of its master's pride. And wrinkled women breathe through Tai Chi-tuned windpipes, the operatic melody of the air. All a wanton fantasy. Eyes reveal a meeting point for loners and loiterers, a sense of things reduced, conversations that trickle through brief noddings at lift landings. Teenage rhetoric scrawled in liquid paper on the stone table chessboard where the king used to sit. The grandiose house-selling dreams of residents compacted in anonymous letterboxes. As an afterthought, an old man pees under a public phone. A place to be avoided, this, how in its vastness it devours hours. Little wonder then that residents rush through void decks, back to the cramped comforts of home. As if in fear of what such open space might do to cozy minds.
Mother, secretly rooting for the Malay contestant on the television game show. A bonus that she too is a woman and wears the Muslim headdress. Father, scanning inscriptions of the academic roll of honor for a name paired with the prophets, a name without a surname, two names, bin, bridging son and father. Or both of them, reading the obituaries, for glazed monochrome photographs perfumed by the phrase Al-Fatiha. For even the dead will learn to speak the burnt language of effigies. Not just to say that we too die like you, but that we once lived, sharing your roads and carriages in flashes, visible among you. And what task is there left of me, your son, a writer, the witness twice over, to throw away the pen that source of caricatures, to rediscover the hand that is also useful for erasures? With the edge of a palm, rub these dangerous mirrors fogged by the breath, the clamoring voices of we who are too eager to recognize ourselves.
Everybody heard that pause. In the middle of the azan, when the muezzin tried to recover his voice. It was easy to imagine crows crooning mournful, cats becoming more affectionate, trees throwing their shadows at earlier hours, lost birds, a new map in the sky, as if everything new. One last look. At trees unmarked by the number of times they've borne fruit, and muddy alleys crisscrossed with many-sized Japanese slippers. At neighbors, masseurs, bread sellers, healers, gossips, debtors. What is there to look forward to but nostalgia. On the last evening in the last kampong, a mother rocked her baby in the embryo of its boyan, singing it lullabies over and over, for fear the child would forget. The well has already forgotten. Its stupefied mouth gapes wide open, as if in the middle of a sentence. Speechless with the memory of a drowned moon.
Come election time, we would see those vans crowned with loudspeakers like wind vanes, each with a supply of its own hot air. Their mission to catapult slogans in 4 directions and for official languages.
We are with you,
Uni,
for you,
Weni,
and
Weni,
for
Singapore.
Singapore.
No child throws stones at it, and all women chew their curses like beetle leaves. Tangy, unspat. Woe to the motorists trapped behind the hearse crawl, the harbingers of good years. Who says that lightning never strikes twice at the same spot? Here it comes again. Not so much a van as a trawler, casting huge nets, not subtle hooks. The only way one catches mouthless fish.
Because he will crash land on his head, assuming it to be the strongest part of his body.
Because someone will put up a sign that reads, "Do not step on the cirrus clouds."
Because it does not even take a man hundreds of feet above sea level to learn contempt.
Because there will be new categories of handicap: bow wings, ostrich disease, scaly feathers, carousel flight syndrome.
Or, at a freak show, the amazing wingless wonder.
Because he will have a new weapon, gravity, and everything he releases becomes a missile, even glass marbles. Books. The fatal music box.
Because he's lonely enough, even without being able to frame the house he lives in between his forefinger and his thumb.
Because then the sky will shed its metaphors of freedom and become another path for him to carry his burdens.
Because there'll be a popular form of suicide.
flying into foreign airspace and being gunned down. All it takes is a nose tip to press an invisible blue button.
Because each death in midair, each comet plunge will be another enactment of the fall of man.
Because in concentration camps, people will break wings and use the feathers for quills to write sonnets and pillow stuffing for innocent dreams.
Because you will have less to fantasize about, less of miracles, and the word levitation will not exist.
Because there will be children who will empty their bladders under cloud covers in an attempt to make yellow snow.
And because he might get the wrong notion that he is closer to heaven when he has not even come a mile within the presence of angels. Despite the resemblance.
God, what am I but a pale copy of the true ascetics? A lesson in humility. Only under such heat, such thirst, does the soul realize the body is just a mirage. Forgive me, God, for crossing the dates on the calendar, numbering 30 days of abstinence, for observing how much temptation surrounds me. The tap's mouth glistens, even though it is only my eye that has polished it. And it is only my longing that saturates the color of apples, that turns a passing scent into form, like breath sculpted in cold weather. Feasting before dawn. Each sunrise, I fade. Reduced to a mouth, source of desire, of the original sin. And at each sundown, a glass full of water travels down my gullet and turns me solid again. God, when you breathed life into the first man, was that what answered his cravings? Or did he know then that as you fed him, you also gave him hunger? A crumb of that world that you will cast him down into.
Why do you not look at each other's faces? Is the scenery that arresting? One housing estate giving birth to yet another copy? Or The advertisements, read and reread as if behind the slogan's promise lay hidden promises. Answer me, is that consciousness rising in you, dissolving your fatigue like a plastic sheet, warping in heat? Or is it simply sleep, draining away from you, down to your souls, to the invisible tracks where the dew is drying, where electricity pushes you to the boundaries of your own loneliness, against the vulgar loneliness of crowds?
As a child, I caught eels in the river, sometimes turtles. Upstream, the women drenched sarrows and drew them up, straining as if hauling nets heavy with water spirits. The only one who drowned in the river was the sun, her molten skirt crumbling to rags on the horizon's razor. A dark line you could trace with a child's finger, the bleeding only in your mind. Suddenly one day visitors came. The village liar claimed to have seen an explosion in the sky. There were video cameras everywhere, Navy ships, tents, transactions. Some of my friends were paid to search for remains, scraps, bone. Yet some found plastic cards, letters. There were people who began throwing paper into the river, mourners who burned red sticks on the banks, square petals, smoke-tongue stems like broken flowers, incomplete assurances, gaps in memory, a finger, a shoe, a black box. Last night, my son had a dream of not breathing, of mushroom clouds, of ash in lightless water. I found the passport under his pillow that night with the woman's photo inside the cover. I beat him, of course, and told him we cannot keep what is not ours. Even the river, oh Musi, at this moment is not ours. You have seen rivers die for the living. This one will have to live for the dead. So I threw the passport back into Musi, into the depths where the eels and turtles remember my drowned childhood. Weeds groping his body like a stringed instrument, nibbling at his waterlogged eyes, his unbubbling lips, his dappled sleep. No longer alive.
don't think she feels on purpose. Nowadays, my knees can tell me when it's going to rain.
Do you think they're asleep yet? I can hear them giggling. You know, our neighbors threw away their plants, even their tall Japanese bamboo. What was that?
Would you like to go to KL this December? We could get you some scarves.
Just now, your sister made comments about our kitchen.
Why do you always go to the toilet in the middle of the night?
Just now, I forgot to bring the slippers in when they were washing the corridor.
Aiya, it's nothing. Someone threw a bottle down the rubbish chute.
Did you have to beat him so hard?
Do you think if we had a house like that, we'd be happy?
Ever since I married you, there's been nothing but money problems. Aunt has lost so much weight. I wonder how she did it.
I worked at the floor since morning. Can you smell the Dettol?
Admit it, you love your son more than your daughter.
Who were you talking to on the phone just now?
Don't talk facing that side. I can't hear you.
Don't touch me like that.
Can you hear me now?
I need sleep. I can't sleep. I need my sleep. Good night.
Good night.
Hey, wake up, wake up. I think I hear something.
That was me.
What are you saying? That wasn't you?
No, that was me. Yes.
Like most of us, I can't remember how I was separated from my first love. Did it die? Did I break it? Was it stolen or did it fly out through the open window? I never had radio tuning parents who filled the house with music or instilled in me a love of the cinema. I never recalled my mother coming home from the hairdressers with a new hairdo, or father teaching me fishing, or staying up to watch football on TV. He did once brought me a kite, but hung it on my bedroom wall. He hung it like a portrait. It wasn't his fault the wall never became more of a sky. Meanwhile, cousins came for visits wearing braces and chattering about comics, bicycle scars, and camping out ghost stories. Don't tell that one. Tell the one where Daddy used the torchlight and Mommy screamed and dropped all her things and laughed like a hyena. We drank boiled water in the house. And sometimes waking from a nap, I would wander the rooms to find Mother copying cross-stitch designs from a book, or Father watching a subtitled Chinese rerun. So I slept again, dreaming of playing toys away from sunlight that shone in between hawk-eyed curtains, gold-plating afternoon dust to shining Poland. When I awoke, I was 20, being asked if I had a happy childhood. Yes,
the one we all had, filled to the brim with the love of absent things.
So these bricks will be torn down, and books will still not have learned to spread their feathers and fly like pigeons from a shaken tree. So this balustrade will be dismantled, perhaps reassembled somewhere else. A conch paperweight by my bed is a beach. Each hour, from a postcard, Big Ben chimes. This is the logic of nostalgia. This is what I mean when I say that my memory is selfish. Who can guarantee that roaming through a tunnel, I will find again the children's section where a boy walked with the little prince in his hands? His smile, the first line of a novel neither of us have read before. One symbol left in Chinatown. Blueprints and forms and rhetoric ensure that a firecracker makes no sound. So the shattered glass of Van Cleef Aquarium still magnifies the eyelashes of students. So the ragged screen of Capitol Cinema still shudders as a Pontianak drips black blood. Only in dreams, under separate stars. I had one last night of sitting at S11 with the usual bunch of affectionate liars, skinny artists, red-eyed dreamers, when suddenly a book appeared in the sky, like a carrier pigeon that had escaped from the ruins of the library. It landed without a murmur on my shoulder. I opened that book, expecting a cry for help, a refugee's plea, but what I found instead was this poem that did not know how to end, only when.
Before I arrived, you were already pushing the buttons summoning me, meaning, hastening your thoughts towards a future of which I was to be no part of. How much of your life is spent in transit, where you cease to be who you are at origin or destination, but simply blurring into a book or fading into the glass of a bus window? When you are in me, limbo is not an option. Not when my gift to you is a vertical metaphor. Hell below, heaven above. And in between, your life on earth, rising and falling.
So you let the Dutch television station into your house, and the kind Dutch interpreter drank your coffee, which was all you could offer. Apart from, of course, your unhelpful silence, which grew more stubborn each minute, as the static in your head buzzed louder, then turned to a terrible song. The car ride to the High Court, the monsoon of fists on the car roof, the splatter of hands like blind birds on the windshield, and Nadra frightened by the beating of your heart.
Nadra! Nadra! Nadra!
You closed your mind to their gentle questions. What do these people know about love?
As if drenched in blood. Her fingers slide across the whispering surfaces of cardboard. She folds them as if they were her mother's bridal gowns, with the tenderness of a storyteller after the final chapter and the final truth. Curiously crooked, she could live in a box, crouched like a fetus, aching with ancient pains in old joints. Wind dribbles through one fist, hope dribbles through the other. Another box collapses. On the day she folds her own coffin out of cardboard, from a box labeled fragile, handle with care. I only pray that this side up points heavenwards.
A flashing green man, like a signal to war, urges you forward. If you look back now, you will see yet another green man, panicking, a siren's plea in the opposite direction. I cannot tell you which is the right way. All I have are numbers, counting themselves down, towards the inevitable, towards absolute zero. What I offer you is a chance to retrace your steps when the next green man appears. Back to where you started, where you never planned to begin this journey.
I wish it had paws.
You said.
It's quite grotesque the way it is, limbless. Can you imagine it writhing in the water like some sort of post-Chernobyl nightmare? I mean, how does it move? Like a torpedo?
Or does it shoulder itself against the currents, gnashing with frustration, its furious mane bleach, the color of a drowned sun?
But take a second look at it, how it is poised so terrestrially, marooned on this rough shore, as if unsure of its rightful harbor.
Could it be that having taken a liking to this unaccustomed vapidity, it has abandoned the seaweed-hunted depths for land? Perhaps it is even ashamed. But what a bold front, tripping a creature of the sea. Look at how it tries to purge itself of its aquatic ancestry in this ceaseless torrent of denial, draining the body of rivers of history's lymphatic memories.
What a riddle, this lesser brother of the Sphinx. What sibling polarity? Its sister's lips sealed with self-knowledge, and its own jaws clamped open in self-doubt. Still surprised after all these years.
Yet, what brand new sun can dry the iridescent slime from the scales? And what fresh rain washed the sting of salt from those chalk-blind eyes?
A pause.
But why does it keep spewing that way? I mean,
I know exactly what you mean, I said, eyeing the blonde highlights in your black hair and your blue lenses, the shadow of a foreign sky.
spills continually, if only to ruffle its reflection in the water. Such reminders could scare a creature, so eager to reinvent itself.
Another pause.
Yes.
You finally replied in that acquired accent of yours.
Well, yes. But I still do wish he had paused.
In the army, it's not just the years that you lose. What are years anyway? When the savage calendar is a doodle of laundry-wrapped weekends.
Laundry-wrapped weekends!
Girlfriend quickie Sunday mornings of not yet.
Girlfriend quickie, Sunday mornings of not yet. And absurd, starless, zombie, guard duty nights.
An absurd starless zombie guard duty nights. And what is time but a huddled waiting for the next bark, for rumors of messages relayed by what data max? Echoing! Naked! Neck wings desperate!
Neck wings desperate!
Platoon falling! Falling now! Fall! Firecracker sound replicate downbound aisles by boys still jittery in their new botak haircuts. Time in the army is like that watch with its comfortless tickings.
Comfortless tickings!
Even when it is lying next to nail clipper and foot powder in a metal drawer in a battered locker, snapped tight by a lock.
Snapped tight by a lock! By lock!
Whose key was under your pillow. Or lying cold like a razor against the insect drumbeat of your panic breast.
Breast! Breast!
Hey! You're funny, is it? Come on, all of you! The rest of you, knock it down!
Knock it down! Knock it down!
Hey, you want to happy, I tell you. Carry on!
In the army, some words find new meanings, while some words lose theirs. Like home
and fuck!
Or fuck
and home!
Some names lose their way, like mine did. There was an NCO who would squat in the morning reading his newspapers, who could not read my name tag, and would call me, Melayu! Melayu!
Hey! Melayu!
Running towards that phlegmatic call, I would look into the eyes of the other platoon Malay running also, to see the brotherhood in one pupil, and the blame in the other. We were twins too poor to afford the dignity of separate names.
Recruit! 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 Recruit!
Our poor mothers sewed our name tags on with needles drawn from the pincushion of unceremonial farewells. And other words were stripped for you. Buddy, sword of honor, enemies, chi by leave, blood god, balls shrink, platoon best.
In the army, there is this day when parents come to visit. On this day, when bunchings are strung like decapitated kites, like handkerchiefs, too bright to be tear-stained. They will appear bearing packed food and fresh advice.
Fathers with their stony grins, too tired to remember, groping shouts amidst acupunctures of rain, and the midnight dirges where voices drag moon boots into untitled cradles of darkness.
Mothers with their gift of tears plucked from times when phone cards expired and queues groaned.
And brothers will monkey with masking tape helmets, while sisters twitch demure under the gaze of strangers.
On this day, an ill-bitten finger scraping a stubborn scalp, as if embarrassment or apology, or perhaps self-consciousness is a gesture of love.
May we sing from the wars of our conscience,
and the peace in our sleep.
May we sing from the terror of our truth,
and the faith in our guilt.
And may our echoes never sink in the valleys of our fear.
May our echoes never sink
in the valleys
of our fear.
Jack up, Jack down. Các cái bộ check
check.
During Hari Raya, she knocks on my conscience. I knock on her door,
and I give her cakes. She says she likes them. And they give me sweets with gelatin inside. I threw them away.
Poor woman doesn't know how to make cakes. Her children eat Maggie after school every day. That's why the elder one is in normal stream. And the younger one can't spell her name.
Hey, if I was her age, I wouldn't be wearing shorts at home.
She doesn't know how to hide her womanhood. When the children are naughty and I beat them, I close the door.
I hear she's a gossip.
But she beats her children harder than I do. What to do? Her children are like that.
I once heard her scream that she wanted to kill herself. These people never value their own lives.
Other times I see her, I smile, and she smiles back. And her children smile and call me auntie.
But in our hands, we hold, with fists clenched tight, the keys to our homes. Each night, we slam the bolt shut.
Looking out at the next block, at the curtains on the next block, at shadows opening cupboards and closing them noiselessly, at housewife washing dishes framed by socks on window grills,
and wooden slots for air cons and rusty holders for washing bowls.
Is to feel as if one is viewing a wall at a columbarium.
At ghosts behind plugs, hunting for their souls. In drawers, in walks, in the television box.
Is to laugh a little sadly, because even gravestones have names.
Punctual as a flower, I spray my orange dust each evening after the sun has slipped unnoticed from this city of no horizons. Yes, darkness can be hard, inviting unintentional intimacies, which is why I help perforate your streets for you, separating you from one another. At times, a trip in my circuitry allows me to flash my Morse, making your shadows appear and vanish. The stutterings of your soul finding its fall. In the morning, birds, not you, land on my immortal neck, as they always have done, on the shoulders of saints.